So I want to talk with you about a struggle that you may be having. You may be trying to overcome sin and falling back into it and overcome it, falling back into it. And you've heard me preach on this many, many times, especially the dangers, the warnings about stopping that. And the issue of sinning or not sinning is boiled down to really a super simple, very straightforward thing. What happens is that we ourselves overcomplicate it. And that's how we perpetuate our sin, by overcomplicating it. That's a strategy that we have of maintaining our tie with that sin, is by overcomplicating it. Sin is a choice of on or off. Either you sin or you don't sin. Either you will sin right now or you won't sin right now. Or if you're planning on meeting some woman to go sin at 4 p.m., it's whether you're going to go do that or not at that moment. Whether you're going to do it or not right now can be a sin also. But the sin that happens at 4 o'clock, it either happens or it doesn't happen. That's sin. That's the issue. You say, but Ron, it's not so simple. Oh, I understand there are other factors involved that persuade you to sin. I have sinned in my life. I understand. But remember that temptation comes from the lustful desires in us. They don't come from outside. It's not because that woman's wearing a low skirt that you're tempted. She shouldn't be wearing a low skirt, but that's not the thing that's tempting you. Although she will be guilty for causing you to stumble. But your sin is your sin out of your own temptation that comes from the lustful desires inside of you. It sounds heartless, but it's not. It's honest. It's telling you the honest truth because you don't want to tell yourself the honest truth. You want to make excuses for yourself. Oh, it's a tangled mess. Sin is a tangled mess. I can't escape. It's a tangled mess. Oh. I'm not mocking you. I'm saying that's how people behave. I know. I've watched it too many times. Some of them more dramatic than others. Some of them stone cold, but they're still doing the same thing. When you talk to them, they're doing the same thing. Sin's not the tangled mess. Sin is on or off. You're the tangled mess. You say, Ron, you're not supposed to say things like that. What, the truth? I'm not supposed to say the truth? Why not? You won't tell yourself the truth. Your friends and family won't tell you the truth. That apostate pastor at the apostate church that you sometimes visit won't ever tell you the truth. You are a tangled mess. Not sin. Sin's straightforward. Prosto tak, as they say in Polish. Straightforward. Straight yes. Straight so. That's sin. Sin is straightforward. It's on or off. Either you sin or you don't. So if there's some complication or overcomplication of the situation, it's because of you. You're doing that. No one else. You're doing that. But Ron, how do I stop? Well, how do you start? I don't know. I just gradually got to this point, and one day I woke up and I was tangled in the mess. Yeah, but it took step after step after step after step after step, always in the wrong direction. You chose the wrong friends. You chose to forego activities that could divert you from sin. So first you chose the wrong people, so you didn't have people who could divert you from sin. You chose wrong activities, so you didn't have the activities that could divert you from sin. You chose the wrong places, so that you weren't in the places where you could be diverted from sin, etc., etc., etc. Choice after choice after step, until you woke up one morning and you were tangled. How do you get out of it? Tangled mess is your own doing. How do you get out of it? Well, when I was scuba diving in the military in Monterey, you say, Ron, you've done everything. No, I haven't. I don't play football. I never have. I stay away from the things I'm bad at. I only stay with the things I'm good at. So when I was scuba diving in the military and they were training us, they taught us we had to carry a knife. And if we got caught in the kelp beds, there are a lot of kelps there in Monterey. And kelps are long. I mean, they're very long, meters and meters long. And so if you get, and they come in like a forest. It's called a forest, kelp forest. And they'd be attached to like a rock at the bottom. And then there'd be a bulb at the top that has gas in it. And then these long blades of leaves. And there'd be just, stalk after stalk after stalk. And if you got down in there, you could actually get disoriented as to which way is up or get tangled up and then lose your orientation. And if you get tangled up, you need to get loose. That's why we carried that knife. And we would cut ourselves loose from the tangled mess. Then we would release some bubbles to see which way was up. If it went that way, that was up. So whichever way the bubbles went, that's where we went. You don't blow the bubbles, you just like release them. It's from the oxygen, the air from the air tank. You just release some of those, and those will go whichever direction up is, that way, wherever it is. So the same's true with this. When you get entangled in sin, do you want to stop? That's the first question you've got to actually ask yourself. Do I really want to stop? Not can I stop. First question is, do I really want to stop? Because if you don't really want to stop, then you're not going to stop. So why torture yourself? Why torture yourself? Go become a Lutheran. Because it was Luther who said, sin boldly, like sin big, so that you can more easily be forgiven. Which is a lie, of course. It's only a way to get you to become untethered to righteousness and engulfed in sin completely. And if that's what you want, well, you know the destiny of those who go that route. It's the lake of burning sulfur. You'll first go to hell, and then you're going to the burning lake of sulfur, where you're tormented forever and ever. Day and night, it says. Forever and ever. And it's in the presence of the holy angels and the Lamb. So, but here's what I want to get to, is that if you really, really want to stop, if you've asked yourself that question honestly, and you don't lie to yourself, saying, oh, I know I should stop, and I know I should want to stop, so yeah, I want to stop. No, you've got to want to stop. It's not just, I know I should want to stop. That's not enough. It's not enough. You're going to fall back into sin if you think that. And I'm afraid that most people think that, and that's why they fall back into sin. They don't really desire to stop. In fact, most people who call themselves Christians are taught that you can't stop sinning. That as long as you're in the body, you can't help but sin. And so, of course, they've given up. Of course, they don't think that they can actually really stop. And so when you ask, do you really want to stop sin? What are they going to say? They know they should want to stop, but they've been taught that they can't. Like I said, you know you should want to stop, but you've been taught that you can't. And so, what does that set you up for except failure? Now, I want to get to the issue of God. If you really want to stop that sin, and you know God's not a fool, you can't fool him. You can think to yourself, yeah, I really want to stop, because really underneath you're thinking, I really know that I should want to stop. And so you're fooling yourself. You can't fool God like that. God sees right through it. He sees to that base there that, oh, he's just doing, what he thinks he really should do, which is he should want to stop, but he doesn't want to stop. What's God going to do? He's going to stand back and watch and see. If you ever get to the point where you really want to stop, because when you do, and if you still can't stop, which a lot of times you can, once you get to that point where you really want to stop, you can stop. My grandpa, he smoked cigarettes for decades. And one day, he turns to my grandma and says, I'm done. Pulls out his pack of cigarettes, sets them down on the table. He never touched another cigarette for the next 35 years of his life. Almost 40 years of his life. Never touched a cigarette. When you really decide that you really want to stop, most people can stop. If you still can't, there's still hope. Throw yourself on your face and tell God, help me. I really want to stop. I know that I'm serious now. I really want to stop. Help me. I don't feel like I can. Please help me. Please help me. And he will help you. Now, sometimes people will then start to feel like confident again and then fall back into the sin. Don't ever get to that point. Stay humble. Stay humble. Stay humble. Because, when you start to think that you're standing, that's when you're going to fall. Stay humble. And if you fall again, you've got to get to that point. You should still already want to stop, really want to stop. You may be doubting, saying, well, I really do want to stop, but I don't want to say that because I don't want to, say I'm going to stop and then fall again, right? Well, don't say you're going to stop. Just say you want to stop. Lord God, I want to stop. Please help me, help me, help me. Help me. And he will give you help again. This is how you overcome sin if you are one of those who are in that situation. So I want to put this out here so that you understand that sometimes some individuals can be in a very difficult situation to overcome sin. It's rare. It's not often, but it's rare. More often is the person who says, I want to stop, but I know that as long as I'm in the body, I can't help but sin. And so it circumvents them wanting to stop. They tell themselves it's not possible to stop, and therefore I can't want to stop because I'd be wanting the impossible. See? That's how dangerous that teaching is of the lordship of sinful nature, as I call it. It's probably the most devious of the heresies in the church. And it goes way back. And it's permeated every denomination. There are still some churches that teach the true gospel to stop sinning. There's some individuals who do as well. There are also some individuals who teach it but still hold other heresies. So you got to be careful. That's not the measure of whether they're a true teacher or not. But definitely if they teach that you can't stop sinning, they are a false teacher. So don't even listen to them. If they teach that you can't stop sinning as long as you're in the body, there's nothing to say. Just walk away. But if they do teach that you can stop sinning, you still have to look at their other teachings to see if they're a heretic or if they're a true teacher. So now you know what to do. If you are one of the few who find themselves in that situation where you do want to stop sinning, but you find yourself falling back into the sin, don't give up hope. Hold fast to that desire of not wanting to sin, because Jesus said, stop sinning or something worse may happen. Paul said, awake to righteousness and do not sin. John said, I write this to you, dear children, so that you may not sin. Jesus said another time, neither do I accuse you, only go and sin no more. And Peter, quoting from the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, where it says at least twice, be holy, because the Lord your God is holy. May the Lord bless you as you seek him with all your heart.